Good afternoon, my brothers and sisters. I sure hope that while you're watching or listening to me, you are now sitting on a couch, enjoying your lunch or enjoying your cup of coffee after lunch, um, and enjoying your weekend. And you deserve it. You work very hard, and so relax as you listen to my sharing. Um, Last night, my last meeting ends at around, we started at 8. The last meeting I had was with Roslyn and C. These are the two staff member who's assisting the organization with development. So that was my last meeting with them. We started at 8, and I don't remember what time we ended. It must be, I think the meeting probably lasted maybe more than 2 hours. And then at the end of definitely, I think it's like 10 something. At the end, Rosalind said that, okay, I will work on it and I'll send you something tonight. And you could reply me, or you don't have to reply me tonight. I think really for the first time, I said to her, I will not I will not reply you tonight. I think I'm going to go to bed. Uh, because I also shared with them in the beginning of my of our meeting that I don't know why this evening I feel particularly tired. My eyes keep wanting to shut themselves, and I'm not feeling really well with my stomach. And I was rather quiet in the beginning part of the meeting, but I find that very I think being quiet is sometimes is good because you could listen much better, and you could observe, and you could think much better. Because sometimes when I keep talking, I might not be thinking as better as I should be. So I was glad that at the in the middle of the meeting, I was able to contribute, and then we made some decision. The reason why I want to talk with you today is because after you receive this email and this sharing, you will also be being copied, with the email that I am sending out to the students. I do not want you to be caught by surprise and say, oh, how come I did not know about it? What's going on with the school? How come the school is like doing this and that, and then I do not know about anything? I remember when the announcement of school closure was announced by our governor, Priska, on that Friday afternoon at 3 p.m. The reaction or the response that was stirred because of that announcement, also definitely regarding school closure. And I know that there are a lot of anxiety, a lot of possibly negative comment about why this leader is making such a decision without even informing CPS, and even the top official of CPS had no clue the school will be closed like on Tuesday, the following Tuesday. I heard that kind of comment. I think differently at that time. Of course, I did not respond. No time to respond. I have my things to do. I understood why, as leaders, sometimes they make decisions without consulting their subordinate. I believe all leaders would want to, at least that's my leadership style, I would want to, everybody on the same page. It's important that everybody on the same page. It's important that everybody contributed, because it would be ideal if we could consult everybody, because your brain are very variable. When I talk to you guys, you guys stimulate me to think. That is the ideal. But we are talking about a global crisis. So I'm not siding with Priska, but I think I could understand there are sometimes their decision needs to be made, or else it means life or death, right? Because we are really talking about, if school is not closing, I think the number of death toll would be even worse than now, or people who are affected by this virus would be, I cannot imagine what the impact would be. So there's simply need to make a decision now, or you wait until you consult with everybody. Now, CPS has a huge system. Not just talking about CPS, we're talking about whole Illinois, all the school. How are you going to get everybody's consent of yes or no? So that is, to me, I totally understand, and I would not, and I also understand the reaction from the CPS teacher, or from all the public school teacher, because for them it's like traumatized. How am I going to run my class? I don't have my classroom anymore. So I could understand both, maybe because of course I'm not at a level as Priska, as that kind of leader, but God has placed me in a leadership position for as long as I know that I became a Christian. It's been a long time. And I'm an educator, and I used to be a teacher, and I still classify myself as a teacher, so I understand both sides. To me, my leadership style is also always wanting to be like, let's make a decision together, because it served me no good as a leader if I make a decision and I say let's go, and then I charge forward, and then I turn around and I don't see anyone following me. What kind of leader is that? So if the situation, if with all circumstances allow us to do that, so you will see me in a normal situation, if it is concerning individual, I would always go to that person and talk about it before I put on the agenda or something like that. Always consult. But there are times that is not allowable, and now this is the time. Now, don't get yourself worked up like, oh, this is something very serious. No, okay, everyone is fine. You're okay. We, as as you already know, I share it. I cannot keep track on what piece of information or email or phone call or meeting. But I know that I share about that finding is when we were doing the child find, planning for the child find champion, we estimated first 20% family being affected, and then before we go public, we said no, I don't think so. I think it's 25. So we put 25, thinking that we will be quite safe. But then very quickly realized that I was totally off. That actually a lot more family are being affected than 25%. So if we are judging from the number of people like paying tuition, then I think the last number I gave was 27 family paid tuition. And then that means we are the reverse, 75% of them, for whatever reason, not paying tuition. And I often find that in things that are happening so fast, things got outdated almost like in an hour or something like that. Just like my last video tool on the Saturday blast, the Saturday video, or whatever video I sent out, is like I recorded it, and then 2 hours later it's like outdated. Oh my goodness. Now the situation is, as of now today, because we started a very extensive call log where we put all 140 students on one column, and then on the left there are many columns, including this person is involved with like Title I or Title III, or just regular tutoring, or how much this person owed us, any issues. And I really appreciate some of the teachers send me the information about individual students. So I enter on one column, so then when we call, I remember to address that also. So anything regarding the student that we know is on this like wonderful, humongous file or document. So when I was going through, when it was ready that we're going to make calls, so I go through it one more time. The situation is better than 27 people paying tuition, because I'm seeing that the reason why right now, as of the last figure, 27, because a number of them actually pay in full. Therefore, they don't need to pay this moment. Now, pay in full meaning that sometimes it's semi-annually, they pay, or annually. We have a handful of those. But some of them, when it gets towards almost the end of the school year, like February or March, and then they think, oh, I have some money, so let me take care of it. I'll pay for the rest. So then when I counted, so the new number is not 27, is around 60. Much better, right? Around 60. But my other question is, how come we are so close in red in our bank accounts? If now 60 minus 27, you do the math, a number of them pay ahead, then we should be okay. But then we are still seeing this, like, almost, I always talk to our accountant, talk to Lynn, be careful when you write a check, make sure that it doesn't bounce back, okay? Now, I think right now I don't have a mathematical number for you, but one possibility is because this particular current year we did not raise tuition, because knowing some of our families are struggling, not because of pandemic, just in general struggling. So then by faith we did not raise tuition, but also by faith and by because of integrity and because of Christ-like decision and because of commitment to you, we raise your salary. Not only raise your salary, but also people raise their prices for even paper, for whatever we use, the price is different. So therefore, by nature, even without the pandemic, we have to be very careful with spending. Now, with the pandemic, obviously, there's still, even if it's 60, still more than half of the student are not paying. So when I look at the details, some of them are owning us not just the April, but also March, but also February. Meaning some people pay ahead, but some people were falling behind. And that is another reason why we are so close to the red line, okay? So this is just some of the analysis that I could come up with, but I could understand by looking at data. So data is very helpful because it informed our decision and informed our understanding. Of course, by putting this complicated call log together, the admin team sweat. I mean, they work hard, and including our committed volunteer Jessica put in a lot of effort with the admin team to try to figure things out. So with that said, what are we going to do in the future? Again, like I said in the video that I sent out last night to the parents, we are here for you, for you as a staff, for our student, for our parents. We will be here, definitely finish well this school year, and we will reopen next fall. And then moving forward, that is our goal. I also had more frequent board meetings than ever, even more frequent than when we were about to approve the proposal of Project Nehemiah. Our board member had no reservation in meeting because they know this is a crisis and we need to stay together. And as an organization, we have to be responsible for everyone that is belong to the organization. So during one of the most recent discussion or conversation, of course there's going different direction. I don't know why all of a sudden one of the board member had that kind of understanding. So, and then I think if I remember correctly, he said, so are we going to vote for go or no go? I said, where is that I thought, where is that coming from? What do you mean by go or no go? So then I think everybody stopped, and I said, wait a minute. No go is not an option. So what he mean no go is that we're going to shut down or we're going to, keep open. And I said, wait a minute. No go is not. There's only one option. I don't see two options. No go is not an option. We only have one option, is we're going to go forward. And then with that said, the rest of the board member kind of like, what are we we are going forward. Now I don't think the person who blurted out that line, necessarily think through a lot of things. I don't know what at that moment that he just blurted out, and I said, well, let's not visit that direction. So, and I'm glad the whole board member, the rest of the board member feel really relaxed and released and say, yeah, we're going to go forward. What are you talking about? So we could say, yes, we're going to go forward, but if we are not doing anything, it could be empty promise, and it will not happen. So the board required me to come up with a plan in 2 weeks. I lost 4 days now. The meeting was Tuesday. So in less than 2 weeks, I need to come up with a game plan, because they said that going forward is a decision, but how? I ask that you will pray for me as I come up with a plan to keep the school door open. I don't see that we need to close the school, but it takes a lot of work. Now, the first, there's going to be like big campaign, there's going to be miniature, there's going to be medium size, and then on top of it, we are looking into grant and foundations and things like that. So the one thing we are going to do is, now the reason why I talk about sometimes that the leader would not have time to consult everyone before the decision is made. Last night we made a decision among the development team. This is what we're going to do, but we also put into a lot of consideration when we planned that we want to make sure that it will not affect the faculty. I don't want other staff to think that how come you always quote unquote like protecting the faculty, not wanting to use too much of the time and all that. I believe that every single members are very important, but I also believe that God placed us in position for a particular reason. Of course, I'm not saying that faculty has no good idea about development or no idea about administration. You do. If by your will, you could offer that to us. But I want everyone to know that God today placed people in admin and placed people in development and placed people in teaching position for a particular reason. And it is important for us to look at the role that God placed in us and then focus. What I'm seeing is the faculty are very focused, and that's why I'm seeing very, very excellent quality coming out from your teaching. I'm seeing the fruit. When I see the fruit, I can determine whether it's a bad tree or a rotten tree, and I'm seeing good quality coming out. And I do not want to jeopardize that. I do not want to disturb that. But that doesn't mean that I do not need your involvement and support. For one, I need your spiritual support. I need your emotional support. But more importantly, I need your trust. Meaning that when I make it, there are times that you have to excuse me. I never request that. I am asking for the whole team now that in this global crisis, I'm asking, there might be moments that you have to understand when I make a decision, I have no time to go through the whole team and have a discussion like we could like we used to. There, because it's time is very, very precious now. There are time sensitive like events that are time sensitive that we have to move quickly. If I wait until, okay, I'm going to call a meeting and then everybody drag themselves and then make themselves available, it will not work. This is not, by all means, this is not like very, very like life and death important decision. If it is a decision like that, definitely I involve you, just like school closure. I know that, in the process, my mind was like, I made a decision, but I still call a mandatory meeting, everybody meet, because it's important. Not only that we might not have any, like too much of discussion time, but at least that is, to me, is a respect, to the whole team. But then if it is like internal, like smaller size decision, I ask for your trust that sometimes, until this pandemic is over, until this crisis is over, if time does not permit, I'm just going to make the decision, and I trust that you will support me. I believe we have this kind of relationship because every decision I made, I have you in mind. I calculate and I measure. And there are times that I ask for your help, even though that it might be a little added burden, but I believe you could handle that if I do ask. Okay, now here's what it is. It's going to be something fun. Okay, that's what I told the teacher, the student, and that's what I believe. Every year around this year we did not have talent show on our calendar because for some reason just nobody signed up to head it up, but we are going to end up have a talent show after all. It is a virtual talent show. The idea is it came from because Class Tech has this competition, this talent competition, that student could submit 30 seconds to 60 seconds of their talent, and then the school that get the most like will be the winning school. The winning prize is only 10,000. Now 10,000 to a lot of people is not much, but to us it helped. Okay, and not only the dollar amount, but the exposures, and then also providing the student with this community. Like last time when I proposed having chapel, it's the same idea. I wanted the kid to live as normal life as they used to be, that I don't want them to be like strip away some of the things that they used to have before the pandemic. Of course, it's within our capability or possibility, right? So the one video communication and a written email will be sent after I send this one to you, explaining what the whole thing is. So we decided to enter that contest, okay? But we want to maximize our resources because Giving Tuesday now is going to take place very quickly in May 5th, meaning less than 2 weeks of time, around 2 weeks of time. May 5th. This is an additional Giving Tuesday because the organization, the Giving Tuesday organization, realized that globally a lot of people are in need of help. So then instead of waiting for December, they said Giving Tuesday now, do it now, don't wait. So we will be definitely joining that movement on May 5th. Because of the limited time, there's not enough time for us to prepare of anything. So then we are asking students to submit, a short video that's showing their talents, and we gave them guidelines, and we also want to make sure that their work are not all over the place because we gave them the punchline at the end. Every performance has to end with one of the lines that we already sent to them that, tells the audience why they perform for that 30 second or 60 second. So on that day is going to be in a Zoom environment. So when we receive all the video, C will do the editing, and then we will compile a virtual talent show, and some of them would be pre-recorded. Of course, the talent pieces would be pre-recorded, and then some of them would be live. Roslyn and I myself will be addressing the audience. It's not going to be very long, and then hopefully we could air that in the morning, because then we have a whole day to re-air it in different channels, whether Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. So it will not require your supervision to the student, but if your student talk about it, if they ask your opinion or question, please just answer them, because they are your student, and then it is also a learning process for them, and also give them encouragement. So support is what I'm asking you, if you are a teacher. And also, if parent ask you question, if you do not have an answer right away, just direct the question to the administration. Then we will answer them. And then another thing that I need you to do, if you are comfortable enough, is on Giving Tuesday, particularly not only Giving Tuesday, after Giving Tuesday, and then the two events, the Giving Tuesday on May 5th, and then the class tag competition, I think is in mid-May. So both events, when you receive anything from us, please share it with your friends, and ask your friend to share it with their circle of friends, to see if we could get enough like for the class tag competition, and also to see if we could get enough support for our families. Another thing is, I'm done with this talent show explaining what is going to happen, because the time is really rushed. I want the kid to receive my communication like early this evening, maybe at 2:30. And then so that they could get going, because the deadline is Wednesday, this coming Wednesday. They have to give us everything, so then C will have enough time to do editing and organization and things like that. So I ask that you will pray for this event. This is like a combination of student events, giving them funds, giving them an outlet, giving them an opportunity to contribute. Even though they are students, they could contribute, and I think it would be a great way to build their confidence and build meaning to what they're doing. So I want them to do it with a purpose in mind. That would be like service learning, that will be also kind of living out what they've been learning from the Bible, from the Word of God, what they could do with the talent that God has given to them, what they could be, how they could be a responsible citizen even at a young age. Now, these are the message that I would like to convey, or through the process, that hopefully the kid will naturally assume that, whether confident, whether sense of responsibility, discipline. So it's a great way of training a young person to be a active and responsible citizen. So I never want to do any events, involving kids just for the sake of, showing. There's multiple reasons behind that. And I do not want to use kids to fundraise for the purpose of fundraising. To me, people name fundraising, I actually do not like the word fundraising. To me, all these are part of education, part of learning, part of building up a person's, our even spiritual life are being built, and we expand. We understand what it means to contribute to God's kingdom work. I like to see our kids, begin to sense that. So if you teach your Bible lesson, if there a way that you could, blend it in, or do a Bible integration, if you don't have to change your Bible lesson, but if there a moment that you see that, I could link to that and then relate to that and make it relevant, and I think the lesson will speak to them, and I think it will be a wonderful learning. Okay, now before I say goodbye, it's too long of my sharing. Now, there's one more thing that I would not have time to write in detail, and I thought about calling individual one by one, and then I realized that my time would not be enough to do that. So I apologize. I do want to have a conversation with the teacher, but time would not permit. So I'm going to speak to the teacher altogether here. You guys are doing a fantastic and phenomenal work. I've been talking with, actually I started writing you an email just like that, but I'm not going to go on. I'm just going to share with you in Word. I've been meeting with principal more often than before. Bright Promise used to be meeting once a month, all the Bright Promise school principal and leaders. But now we are meeting actually every week, because every school needs help, and then we are sharing ideas. And even with our tuition assistant application form, because they were saying, so what are we going to do, and blah blah blah, and then I share it, and then other school could use it as a reference and then build their own, and it save everybody sometimes. So we share ideas and resources like that. So we meet more often, and then I'm also going to like more webinar. Then I think this stay at home ordeal, drove me to so many webinars, because not that because I have time, because I have to learn a lot of things, including HR, labor law, grant, the health situation, monitoring the data. Is like tons of email that I have to read, and then a lot of webinar. And I get in touch with a lot of educational leaders. And then by talking, by discussion, by all that, I realized Puja Christian School is really, really one of the, I would say, I cannot be so dogmatic, say that it's the only one, but I cannot find anyone else at this time. So, but because of my circle is still limited, there might be somewhere out there in a different state, I don't know. But right now, with the so many contact that I had with, I did not find anyone doing what we are doing right now. And I do not brag about it and say that, oh, because, yeah, good leadership. No. I think the thing is, number one, this is definitely God's ministry. He is among us. Our thought, our decision, our commitment, even the extra minutes that you devoted, teacher, whether you're teacher, whether you're admin, whether you are development, whether you are supportive staff, the extra miles, not 1 mile, I'm using a pearl, the extra miles that you walk is not natural. We are just finite human. If we don't have God in us, forget it. I'm seeing that norm, unfortunately, among public school. I also see very good example from public school, but those are very minority, and those are individual, not as a whole school doing that. So I really applaud those individuals in public school that they still holding on the kid. They're doing it, but not as a school. And I see school, the other thing that they try to boost up morale, their school, what they're doing is that they will line up teacher. If there's a student having a birthday, they will drove and then they will horn just to cheer up the student, or things like that. They will make a lot of noise, driving around the town and things like that. But how many of them are like in front of the desk planning the lesson, investing, and then delivering the lesson day after day? And on top of it, a lot of you, you know who I'm talking about, because you and I had conversation, like email, talking about individual student. You offer me, you told me that this student, I'm concerned about this student because of blah, 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 blah. Mrs. Ho, what would your suggestion be? What should I do? Your heart is with your student. And that is very beautiful. no one will know even if you don't do that. People will excuse you, saying that, oh, this is unusual circumstances. But you're different. Pura Christian School is different because you are different. I want to thank you. You are doing a fantastic job, teacher. I watch your lesson. Like last week I said that I will refrain from watching because I'm addicted to it, because I enjoy it. I lived up to that decision. I only went into classroom when I needed to for the last few days. There were times that I still stopped by for some reason that I had, okay? But you are doing wonderful job. And now I'm not going into the classroom, but I try to look at class, like student work. Like I said, when I look at the work, I know what the lesson is like, whether it's a successful lesson or not. I enjoy seeing those work. But the problem is, right now we are talking about re-enrollment. Even though we have people already re-enrolled, like the junior K, they re-enroll ahead of time, but that is not a true list, because I know that on this list, many of them lost their job. When they face the reality, if they cannot afford to have the kid in junior K, they will withdraw. So that is not a true list. And I'm looking at the aftermath, not only just finishing up here, but how do we maintain classes, have enrollment for classes. So I was talking to the development team last night. We could do all kinds of like dancing around, doing this and blah blah blah, doing like fundraising. That's one way. But I think another very, very important way is to recruitment, to have enrollment. Once we have enrollment, we could do less fundraising, and then our fundraising effort could then move back to Project Nehemiah. Right now, Project Nehemiah, we kind of like pausing it for now, okay? But I'm determined to pick it up as soon as I can. So how do we do enrollment? It is a crisis, and but at the same time, look beyond that, and then it will bring a new horizon, because these make a very strong impression in a lot of parents. Those who could afford private school may be thinking about, well, my goodness, my son and my daughter is going to have a huge gap. We are talking about from March till mid-June. You do the math. April, May, June, 3 months. And then losing summer school. That's a lot. There's 3 months, if the mom, they're doing homeschool, that's better. But if not only that they lose the academic knowledge right there, but also they might be picking up bad habit, bad like discipline, and bad routines and things like that. So there are people out there looking for school. Are we the one that they're going to choose? Out of what circumstances they will choose us if we are not in any way making ourselves known to the public, the good thing that you're doing? I have to pray to God to give me the wisdom to tell the story, to introduce the school to the public. And I need your support, because it's a hidden jewel. I had 2 virtual meetings with potential parents last week, just the past few days. These are 3-year-old parents. But one of the parents, the first question he asked was, what are you doing during this time? Do you do e-learning? And I said, we are doing e-learning even with the 3-year-old, and his eyes just kind of like wide open and really attentively listening to me. And then he said that, yeah, I was wondering, blah, blah, blah. And I know that even preschool parents are looking for that, because everybody learned. Hopefully a crisis like that will not happen so often, but I'm not so naive. Now is this, tomorrow is going to be something else. What you are building, what you are doing is going to be very, very beneficial for the future of education. So I am asking you. We were thinking about, okay, without bothering you guys, and maybe we could shoulder it. But the problem is it will be so much work, because unless we go through all the recording, and then what we are trying to do is just like maybe a 30-second or 1 minute of like online teaching, and then we could edit it. And then because I told the the development team that when I was doing this virtual enrollment for the new incoming student, I felt that I have nothing. Normally I have this to show, and I could walk them around, and I could talk about it, and I cannot do that, just me talking. So then we decided to do a virtual school tour. So virtual school tour, meaning instead of me walking them, I used to, you welcome me to walk into your classroom with no problem. So I'm asking, we need to have a minute or so, or if it is fantastic, maybe a minute and a half, a clip of your teaching, so then we could compile it in a video. So then when I talk to parents, I could have a virtual demonstration of what we are doing during this pandemic period. So these, unlike the talent show, these will require a little bit of your work. First of all, reflect and think, recently, when did I deliver a spectacular lesson? Even for like now, by all means, all of your lessons are spectacular. I mean, out of the spectacular, what jumps out even more? That showcase the power of e-learning. I particularly looking for like when you have discussion with the kid and the kid's involvement and all that action, not just one person talking. Well, sometimes one person, don't be so rigidly listening to don't take my word just from the surface. Of course, I'm looking for action, but then sometimes, one person talking could do the job too, if you have a sidebar, or if you have all the other kids showing. And don't worry about showing the name, because we have the picture that I used recently, C has a way to blur everybody's name, so don't worry about that. So if you could help us out, quickly reflect, oh, I could tell C and Roslyn, go look at that, or you send it to us, or you say, okay, go to the file, and then what number, what day, and approximately, maybe 10 minutes into the lesson or whatever. Give us some pointers, instead of us looking for, there's tons of recording. It would not be feasible for us to go through everyone if they did not know the lesson. So if you could give us a minute or 2 minutes, like, oh, I have this spot and I have that spot, you just like, give it to us, so that we could pick, and then we could build a virtual school tour as I continue to recruit students for next school year. Okay, can you do that? Yes, you could. Now, if you have any question or issue, don't hesitate to email me. So before I say goodbye, let's agree to trust and not to be afraid. When I say this word, is no, I'm not afraid. Yes, you're not afraid. I think what you are assessing, or what I'm assessing, would be different, or our feeling would be different, because right now we said, oh, my heart goes out to you, I'm sorry you lost your job, I understand. No, we don't understand until we lost our job. By God's grace, all of us holds a job, right? You have a job, even though it's very tough, right? But be thankful you have a job. I have a job. Maybe you have more than a job, and I have more than a job, because if you add the hours together, it's more than a job. But still, we're very, very thankful we have a job. As I talk to the parent, those who lost one job, or his business shut down. One of the parent I talked to yesterday, a father, no job, and I thought he was just being laid off, but his his business was shut down, and I offered him, okay, this grant and that grant. I said no, because my company is very small, and he has reasons. He said that he's not qualified, but then he has to. Right now he's shut down. He doesn't know whether it will be reopened, but then he has to shoulder like the overhead, like $1,000s of rent per month and all that, and that's why he's very, very nervous right now. And I cannot say that I totally understand, but I can feel it. So we have a job, be thankful. But I want you to know the situation that I'm begin to unravel and assess, even in a small community. There's a lot of fear, and there's a lot of uncertainty. So let us agree to trust and not to be afraid. Let us also keep in mind that our God is still in full control. Okay? And also, remember, we are not alone, because God loves us very much, and He's not going to let go of us. He's not going to let go of the ministry He founded 67 years ago. Yep, it was through CCUC this ministry was founded. But if God did not will that to happen, we're not here, right? So because of that, I fully trust Him. All right? Enjoy your day. Bye-bye.